Yeah. Well, for those of you on the East Coast, good afternoon, Keller Williams. For all my friends everywhere else, good morning, Keller Williams. Welcome in to Tech the Halls. Guys, we are in the team channel today, but we've got a topic that really applies to all agents, even leadership, and that is YouTubing and podcasting. Honored to be with you today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Marty Miller. I'm the regional technology trainer for the South Texas region and a MAPS technology coach. More importantly, I've got three amazing guests. One who's still producing an amazing script battle happening on our other main channel. So Brandon will join us shortly. But I've got the Chris and Chris show right now, Orsini and Kuzi. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself? Orsini, I'll start with you, and we'll move forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Marty. My name is Chris Orsini, and I am the co-founder and operator of Leverage Strong. I am a Keller Williams University approved trainer, as well as a labs advisor. Prior to that, I was the director of technology for Cody Gibson and United Home Group and served over 300 agents in 28 states and 5 countries in their technology.
Chris, what's Leverage Strong? I know what it is, but for those few agents and leaders that still don't know what Leverage Strong is, tell them about it.
Yep. So Leverage Strong is a company that was founded by me, John Morris, and Zach Younger that provides virtual market center tech trainers to offices that currently have a gap.
Leaders, you heard it on the call yesterday. Short, quick plug for my amazing friends. If you don't have an MCTT, you need to hire one. If you're between MCTTs, you need to hire one. Leverage Strong could be that solution. So great work there.
Thank you.
All right. And I knew I was going to say it wrong. It's either Kuzi or Kusi, and regardless, you need to call Chris because he's friendly and he's got some amazing things happening. Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend.
I thought we practiced this yesterday, Marty.
I know, and I still forgot. Right?
Hey guys, for everyone I don't know, nice to meet you. I'm Chris Cusimano. I run the Homes by Kuzi team. We are primarily in Palm Beach and Broward counties, Boca, Coral Springs, Parkland, Delray Beach, and those areas. But pretty successful team. We do things really uniquely. FES coach and trainer, certified in Florida. So if you need a guest spot, hit me up. And I also run my own coaching program as well as a podcast and a couple YouTube channels. So a bunch of other fun
Two
stuff.
very qualified, and we'll have Brandon introduce himself as soon as he jumps in, comes over from the script battle. But guys, today we're really focusing on podcasting and YouTubing, two ways that agents and leaders can produce additional income, produce additional production, perhaps even recruit agents from other brokerages to be interested in Keller Williams. So let's kind of start off. Orsini, I know that you are getting into the podcasting or have been podcasting for quite a while. For someone that's looking at potentially considering podcasting, what's the first thing you would recommend they consider?
So first, so I hosted a podcast, actually a marriage podcast, years ago. Hosted that for about 2 years. We had a following of about 5,000 people, and it was a blast. Podcasting is one of my favorite mediums. It's the people you get to meet through podcasting and the relationships you get to build are invaluable. Although one of the very first things that I would ask myself going into this is, do I have time for this? Do I have time to commit to for me, when I started, I was like, I'm just going to get on Zoom. And back then we were using Skype, and I'm going to just chat with someone for an hour and then post that to the internet. And that's about it. Right. And it turns out, no, I've got to prepare, and I have to wrap up, and I have to do post-production, and I also have to go and post. So I would ask yourself, have I time blocked my life? Am I taking full advantage of my lead gen? Have I totally squeezed all the juice out of my prospecting as possible before I go? And because this is considered marketing, right? And according to Shift, we should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. And so if you don't feel like your prospecting is solid and you don't have time for prospecting, then you don't have time for podcasting either.
Yep.
If you go into that a little bit further, Chris, tell me, Orsini, if you're doing a 30-minute podcast, let's just say, I'm going to riff for 30 minutes about first-time home buyers and everything they need to know about the home buying process. For you to record something that is production ready for people to really enjoy, that represents you well, 30 minutes of recording takes how long to put all together, would you say?
So depending on the type of person you are, for me, when I get into creative production, I turn into a high C and I get very detailed. And I'm also an audio engineer, so I really enjoy these things. When I started, it took me about 8 times my record time to produce it.
Got it. So
So
4
if
hours together, a 30-minute segment.
correct. If it's a 30-minute session, you can expect to take about 4 hours. Now, over time, I was able to develop a system that I could edit a 1-hour podcast in less than 2 hours. But that took me a year and a half to get to that point. So it's something you can grow into. But if you don't have 4 hours to spare, then you don't have 30 minutes to record a podcast episode.
Like it, because you're seeing the same as far as production time. What's the investment that you're making when you put together your podcast?
You know, it's beauty about this podcast thing. Totally different perspective and experiences. I think what leads to this conversation is what drives people's biggest fears is content, right, Chris? Like you'll hear from people like, I don't know what content I'm going to do. And I'll be honest, most of the time, neither do I. I mean, we teach different ways to do it. But when we record, we have a very different way of doing it. It's casual conversations with other fellow real estate agents that sprinkle in real estate stuff naturally, because that's what we naturally talk about. And we just press record. We don't edit. And when it's done, we upload it. It's 0 for us. And it's just different. There's nothing wrong with either way. It's just, I guess I can give a little more backstory, and I can talk all day on this, so you can stop me. But I've kind of built my business a little differently by documenting my journey of my story of who I am. And I did that with podcasting too. My very first episode, I go, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know if I can even get this out. I don't know. I'm going to press record. I'm going to talk to you. I'll see you in the next episode. Click. Podcast 1 in the bank. You know? So I don't overthink it. And I thoroughly enjoy, I really enjoy the conversations and the people you meet through it. But we can talk more on that throughout.
We're going to talk to Brandon a little bit about YouTube as soon as he jumps in. But let's continue along that podcast theme. I think a lot of people feel like they need to have a lot of expensive equipment. Like I need an amazing microphone and a mixer and something that I can do this on because I'm trying to do right. And like, what sort of equipment, if any, do you guys recommend for the first time podcaster? Okay, by the time this is done, I'm in, I want to do a podcast. Let's start with equipment. What do they need to produce something? Kuzi, what do you think?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Sure. Actually, it's funny. The first time I did it with my AirPods through a app called Forwrite on my phone. Like I recorded it, Forwrite recorded the information, and then I just transferred over.
How's that app spelled? You said Forwrite. Spell it for me.
Oh, Forwrite. I have only used it once, so I'm not sure, but it's Forrite.
Okay. And Forrite. Sounds good. Okay.
The quality was fine, but I'm in a position where I can spend a little cash, so I upgraded to that mic that's behind me there, and then which is that an
ATR 2100 or a Q2U?
You know what? I'm not high C.
Letters and numbers. You're above my head.
I'm not high C like you, Orsini. I'm high D. I just know it's a mic.
Yeah. Record my voice. All right, I like it.
And then I spent a little money on the Elgato Wave. This guy here. But you don't need it. It's just when you
first started, you were just recording to your phone using your AirPods, essentially.
Correct.
So, Orsini, is it fair to say most likely they have the equipment they need in their hand right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and to go along with what Kusi said, like to get a high quality. Now, for me, like I'm a geek about audio quality, right? Sure. And even when it comes to video, people will watch your video longer if it sounds good but looks bad than they will if it looks good and sounds bad, right? So for me, it was very important. The mic that Kusi just showed, that's either an ATR 2100, Audio Technica ATR 2100, or a Samson Q2U. They're both pretty much clones of each other. The Q2U is $58 on Amazon right now.
Pretty sure that's what I have. I got to thank John Morris for that recommendation. I can't reach it.
Yeah, and John Morris can thank me for that recommendation.
Yeah, that's probably you coming to him from me.
Yes, exactly. That's me through John, by proxy. So that's less than $100. That's more than enough for what you need. And what's great about that mic, it's very versatile. It's got USB and XLR, which you don't need to worry about those terms right now, but it is very versatile if you want to grow into something bigger. So
we talked about Forwrite. what else, Orsini, where am I recording this in your world? Like if I'm brand new, I hit record on what? Like, am I literally just pulling up my iPhone and hitting the record button there? Or do you have some apps that you recommend as well?
Yeah. So what I recommend to start with, if you're a Mac user, good on you. You just have to use GarageBand. It comes with your Mac. It's totally free. It's a great product to get you into DAWs, which are digital audio workstations. And that'll do more than you ever need for a podcast. If you don't have a Mac, I'm sorry. You can use a product called Audacity, AUD. You spell the rest. Audacity.
City.
It's again total freeware, open source, pretty simple to use. Not as pretty of an interface as GarageBand, yet that's what a lot of entry level podcasts use getting started.
Cool. All right, Brandon, welcome in, sir. Brandon, Lara, everybody, the ultimate behind the scenes guru of the script battle or babble battle or talk battle or whatever we just called it.
Yeah,
did we have a winner? We had to jump in on here. Who ended up winning the old babble battle?
Chris Hurley won. South Texas.
Representing
Team Chris.
South Texas. All right, there we go. I like it. Brandon, introduce yourself. We did quick intros for the Chris and Chris show, but now we're bringing you in. So let's hear about it.
Awesome. Well, happy to be a part of now the CBC. I am Brandon Lara, Market Center Tech Trainer in Houston, Texas at Memorial. I have been teaching tech most of my life. I'd love to really get people connected and let them think about the next thing that they're going to do with their business. So this is a great fit for me. I opened up a little bit of a side gig where I get to create a YouTube channel and help place all of you guys in the right position to elevate your business digitally. So that's why I'm here today, is to talk a little bit about YouTube and what I do and how it works for me and how I can help make it work for all of you.
That's awesome. Getting some love there in the chat. So that's always good. Orsini and Kuzi, talk to us a little bit about what you need as far as the app goes and the baseline equipment for podcasts. Brandon, if I want to create a YouTube video, how much equipment am I needing? Where am I doing all of this? Walk me through, like, I'm ready to go. I want to produce my first YouTube video and upload it to the World Wide Web to see. Where am I starting off?
Well, you know what? Let me just reach up here and grab my fancy equipment. As you can see here, this is all you really need to get started. If you want to really get started tomorrow, today, right after this segment, grab your phone and create a YouTube account if you haven't already, and hit record, and you can be a YouTube star just like me.
Fantastic. I love it. And I think too, right? I've got a little experience in the YouTube world. And Chris, I love the fact that you produce everything that you do. I'm more on the Kuzi side, Orsini. I'm more on the Kuzi side of I record it. As long as command doesn't short out, we're producing that bad boy. That's going live. Right to roll. So sometimes less is more. And yet I've seen some amazingly well-produced video. Like Donnie Brookman is a great example. Donnie and the KW video team, like those are some really well done videos. I love his content on our KW command channel. I don't have the time or talent to do that kind of stuff. So I'm just recording the point and click and get it out there. And I think both of us are seeing that success. And I imagine both Orsini and Kuzi are seeing inside the podcast space as well. So Brandon, I've got the video recorded. What's the process of getting the actual content out?
Yeah, so if you're recording on an iPhone or on an Android device, you can, iPhone has iMovie built in. So if you really want to do some chopping and edit things and really make it more on a production level, then you can spend some time learning how to edit and create something that's really magical. But really, you don't want to be frozen in fear and frozen in production. The best thing to do is record it with your camera and upload it right into the YouTube app. Get started so that way you know where you want to go.
I love it. People often ask me what sort of amazing technology I use to record the 66-day challenge videos. Guys, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. It's neither amazing nor technology. It's called PowerPoint. I actually use PowerPoint, inserts, screen recording, and that's it. Over 400 videos created with the masterful piece of technology that is PowerPoint. But it was simple, straightforward. As soon as the recording is done, personally right-click, save as. It's MP4. It's ready to load to YouTube. Again, not all the professional editing of adding opening screens and ending screens and voiceovers and music and all the things you can do. But like Brandon said, sometimes you just start simple and build from there. So definitely appreciated that. Chris, what sort of costs are associated? So I've got my phone. Maybe I spent a little bit of money on the microphone. I've now downloaded an app. Any additional costs that I should be aware of with regards to wanting to get my podcast out? Orsini, what are you thinking as far as investment goes for opening costs? Anything else we're missing?
Really nothing. It's great because these days we have a service called Anchor.fm. So that's a service owned by Spotify. It's totally free and you can host your podcast there. Back in my day, you had to have a website and a hosting platform and an RSS feed. And it was a headache. And honestly, I leveraged all that out to my co-host when I was doing it. So I don't even know how to do it, which is great that Anchor FM exists now. So, and it's totally free. They even have monetization offerings. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. There's really, unless you want to have a website or you want to advertise your podcast anyway, there's really no other costs that are necessary moving forward.
And so am I just going to the website anchor.fm, or is this an app that I'm downloading on the actual, on my phone, or where am I getting anchor.fm?
Both.
Okay.
There's a website and an app, and I believe they have some editing tools within the app as well. So if you wanted to use Anchor FM to do all of the recording, you can.
Awesome. Sounds good. Kuzi, what are you using? Any additional costs we need to be aware of?
Well, I wanted to ask Orsini this. Does that go only to Spotify, or does it go out to other directories?
Yeah, it goes. You can get it with through other podcast catchers. So my preferred one being Overcast is my preferred podcast app. So
yeah, okay, because I don't use that. We use Buzzsprout on ours. I don't know if you heard of it. So Buzzsprout.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Spell that for me.
Buzz and sprout, like you're sprouting.
Buzzsprout. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. So again, what Chris does what I do, and this can actually go back to, again, the biggest concern people have is content. I teamed up with my videographer, who's a YouTuber, who's all around tech geek, right? And great conversation. Is a very smart guy, and we co-host it. And part of that was his role would be to push it out there. And I found Buzzsprout ironically, and I did all the hard part, I guess. And now what he does, he goes in and he pushes out the product from Buzzsprout, and it has all the directories in it. And you just click on select directory. If you want to say, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Podcast, do them all, whatever, it doesn't matter. Amazon. And it'll link into it. So every time you record your podcast, you put it in Buzzsprout, and it'll go off to all the directories all at the same time. Easy peasy, great leverage. And that's not free. I think that's like $20 or so, maybe 30 a month. Well worth it.
Nice. So question from the audience: is there best practice to run from YouTube versus host on a traditional podcast hosting service and then add it to YouTube? Are you guys getting your podcast out on YouTube, like the actual video format of it as well?
Mm-hmm. Why not? Yeah.
So there's kind of a bigger answer. Yeah. So there's a bigger answer to this too. And there's different ways people consume things given the platform.
Sure.
Right. So video is usually going to be, people expect a little bit shorter of a video, right? Most people are not sitting around watching a 1 hour podcast on YouTube, right? They're watching the shorts, right? That you see on YouTube, or like a little, 15-minute thing. But, you guys give up and you're thirsty for more. You then usually pop open your podcast app while you're in the car or something and listen to a 1 hour, 2 hour, episode. Not everyone can be Joe Rogan and have people sit around for 3.5 hours watching you talk. So if it's going to be a longer form, I usually lean towards just audio. But What you can do if you're shooting the video, no matter how long it is, put the video on YouTube.
Why not?
Rip the audio out of it and then put that on Anchor FM or Buzzsprout or wherever you're doing it. So you don't have to be all crazy, because a lot of people are like, okay, so you shoot this video and then you cut down to like the 5 minutes that matter most of this whole video, and you post that on YouTube, and then you cut out a bunch of shorts and you put that all over YouTube and Facebook and TikTok, and then you don't have to get that crazy into it, guys. Just get started. Like, that's the biggest thing.
Brandon, you were nodding your head pretty seriously there when we were talking about ripping the audio from a YouTube and putting it onto a podcast. Tell me more?
I completely agree. And in fact, I might even take it a step further. If I have a website, kind of transcribe it a little bit, turn it into a blog to generate some SEOs towards my site and my channel. Why not? I mean, you've already created the content, so put it where it all belongs, which is in the World Wide Web.
I like it.
I think there's a thing there.
I've never actually ripped any of my videos and used the audio for a podcast. Heck, you guys may have seen it here first, the 66-Day Challenge podcast. Just wait. We'll see. Go ahead. What were you thinking?
Oh, so I was thinking, so if you do have a YouTube channel, I have two different ones for different reasons. We could talk about that later in a minute. But if you are having a YouTube channel, you can't confuse your followers, if you will. Like if you're having a podcast and the next one is you chasing puppies in a park and the next one is you talking real estate, it's not gonna go well. So my point is, if you're going to do podcasts on a YouTube channel, we just created a new channel for that. And we're not personally, for us, because I really don't have the time, but we're not focusing really growing that all too much. I guess actively, it's more organic. But why not? Maybe we'll get time in a year or two from now, and then we can dive back in, change the thumbnails, really put some tags in there or whatever. You made it, stick it on somewhere. Can't hurt.
Brandon, we're speaking a lot of your language because I know when we prepped for this, you were speaking a lot of those things that we just talked about. So I think that the $1 million question, excuse the pun, people want to know is, are you making any money off of all of this, or is this just kind of a hobby, right? Because we know if it doesn't make us any money, it's a hobby. If it's actually making us money, then maybe it's something different. So how do I make money? Let's start with YouTube. How am I making money with a YouTube channel?
So there's three real ways to generate revenue on YouTube. The easiest way to really dive in is affiliate marketing. Everybody always confuses that with an MLM. Affiliate marketing is real and it works and it pays pretty well if you know how to use it. But I want to preface all of this with you. All of you who are watching, you guys are real estate agents. So if this is what you're going to focus on, that's not your business in real estate anymore. Now your business is being an influencer. So using this as a side hustle is great, but your main point in making money should be lead generation. Yeah. So that should be the big goal on your YouTube channel, is getting people to follow you so that you are growing your base for selling homes. But as far as making money goes, affiliate marketing is the easiest one to dive right into from day one. After that, if you want to do monetization from YouTube, you're looking at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And what Chris said is absolutely right. If you've got puppies in a podcast, that will not count as your 4,000 watch hours. It needs to be centric on the topic that you are really promoting regularly, or YouTube will just wash it out. Lastly is sponsorship, and that's usually the last one. As you start to monetize, people start to see you, and then you can reach out to brands, or brands may reach out to you to promote the products that they have. But again, that's becoming an influencer. That's less becoming a real estate agent.
I like it, and I think it's an important distinction to note. Chris talked about most people are not going to watch a 1-hour podcast, right? So it's not the amount of time you upload. 4,000 hours. If I upload 4,000 60-minute videos, I'm monetized. I've got to get people to watch all 60 minutes of all 4,000 videos. And that's typically in a 12-month period. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon. That's a rolling 12-month period that you have to get those 4,000 watch hours.
Yes, and they update that regularly. So if you go 12 months without any watch hours, YouTube will come back and say, hey, you haven't had any traction. We're going to remove your monetization, and they'll give you some sort of grace period. And Marty, you're absolutely right. A lot of YouTubers now will really take those shorts seriously, because they can get somebody to watch a short 20 or 30 times at a 60-second clip and build that watch hour really, really fast.
Yeah. We talked about some important things with YouTube, and you mentioned knowing how to record a short, making sure those are getting uploaded in addition to your videos. You talked about thumbnails on the YouTube side of things. Talk to us a little bit about that. What is a thumbnail, and how do I know if I'm doing it right versus not doing it so right?
That's a great question. So thumbnails, they say don't judge a book by its cover. Everybody's judging YouTube by its thumbnails, and it's just plain and simple. You all do it. If you scroll through YouTube, you're going to pick on what looks attractive, what pops, what sells. And you also want to make sure that thumbnail that you click on is relevant to the actual topic that you get. So thumbnails are key to really making something attractive. It's the first thing anyone sees. And it's also key to make sure that it's relevant to what you're promoting. Thumbnails are really easy to make. In fact, I created a quick how-to video that you can design as many thumbnails as you like right inside Command. It's as easy as 1, 2, snap, you're done.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll say everything on the 66-day challenge, every single one of those thumbnails was created inside of design. So a Command user myself, if you will. One piece of feedback that I've gotten over the years is if you're going to put words on your thumbnail, remember that most people are using YouTube, ironically, from their phone.
Yeah.
If they cannot read it, like a thumbnail is literally like the size of your thumbnail. If you put 500 words on a thumbnail and they're 8-point font, no one's going to be able to read that when they get it on their phone. So that was one tip. And a mistake that I made, honestly, very early on was I had a lot of words on the thumbnail because I'm watching it on a 36-inch monitor and it looks amazing. But then I forget that most people are looking at it on a 3-inch monitor or whatever this computer, phone is. So being able to read that is really important there. Orsini, I'll come to you first. How are you making money in podcasting? What are the options there?
Yeah, it's very similar to YouTube, although Anchor FM now offers monetization option, but it's not, the monetization options aren't as readily available as they are on YouTube. So again, the first thing really is the business that is going to bring you. The second would be, again, affiliate marketing or sponsorship. So I know when I was hosting a podcast, we'd recommend like a book. And if we talked about a book, we would just drop that affiliate link in the description, right? So Marty, on your videos, anytime you reference the MREA, you should just put that little affiliate link in the description, right? And then anyone who clicks on that, you get a commission. Now, what's really cool is we were recommending books, right? These are like $10, $15, $20 books, and we get a few cents on the commission. What's really cool with the Amazon affiliate is that you now get a commission on their entire cart, not just the one product that you recommend. So we had someone who bought it or clicked on our link and then decided to buy like hundreds of dollars of gardening equipment. And we got paid on someone's gardening purchase, right? And it doesn't cost the purchaser any more money, and it doesn't cost you any money. It's a complete no-brainer to sign up. Then next would be sponsorship, where once you hit about 1,000 listeners, you can start, and this is a great way to build your business-to-business relationships, right? Reach out to your roofer or your title guy or whoever, right? And start building these business-to-business relationships and say, hey, if you want to shoot me like a 60-second ad, I can throw it in the middle of my the episodes, and it'll cost you X number of dollars. The metric that's generally used in podcasting is CPM, cost per milli, or cost per 1,000 listeners. Now, there isn't an easy subscriber metric like there is on YouTube, so you do need to track your numbers. I know Anchor.fm gives you all the analytics, so you'll be able to see how many people are listening to you recurring.
Ironically, at some point, I became an Amazon affiliate. I just realized because I Googled, how do you become an Amazon affiliate? And he uploaded my Amazon affiliate account. And apparently on the 13th of November, I made $1. I got to dive back in because at some point, Kuzi, I followed someone's recommendation.
It's a bonus
about affiliate marketing and kind of some ways to get involved in that on your side of things.
That's not something I have focused on either. I mean, I'm going to go take a little step back, I guess, and give the bigger picture of why I guess I'm doing it and then how it leads to be getting paid. And the reason why I'm doing it is because, well, if you know the MREA, they tell you that you need to be lead gen based or focusing on your database is what I meant to say. And why is database marketing so powerful is because the human brain is extremely linear, meaning they don't just see you once and call you, and they have to know, like, trust, and then remember you. But there's steps before that for there's people who don't know you, and then they have to know you, then they have to like, trust, remember you. So our goal, if you want to maximize our ROI, is how do we get them through that process the fastest? And I found out that, and what I enjoy, what I feel fulfilled in when my anxiety subsides is when I just tell people my story. I was always telling people my story, whether it was on social or was the email or was it directly in the mail. I actually have story letters that I update. I don't have one here. I do. It's buried there. That I send out every year, updating the story about my family and my life. And I'm like, for the first time in history, we have an opportunity to tell people our story, audio and visual, because let's be real, we all do this. All realtors are watching this now. We do this when we're texting or email another real estate agent. We have a preconceived opinion of who that person is and how they're in. But then when you get them on the phone, like, they're pretty cool. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with us on here. So I know that's a really loaded front end answer to how I'm going to get where I'm going, but I never did it as a direct to income thing. I did it as a way to tell my story and let people see who I am, how I speak, and the people who were attracted to me. I'm not physically, I mean, just attracted to me as a person, they're going to call. And the people who don't like who I am, they're going to be repelled, which is even better because then you'll have a crappy client. So how I got paid most recently is someone was watching actually another YouTube channel and mine came up, but my family channel popped up, not my real estate one. And they started watching all my family videos. And then for like 6 months, and then she finally called, she goes, I know everything about you. I know your kids, your dog, everything about you. I know you went to Disney this time and you went to this and this. Do you want to show me a house? I'm like, sure. What are you looking at? We're in the $1 to the $1.5 million range. We're 50% down. We're ready to make a move one weekend. And sure enough, came down one weekend. We bought a house. We closed in January. So how do I make money on it? I'm making $40,000 commission selling them a house because they saw my story and they connected with me at a very intimate level. I just wasn't aware of it.
For a second, I was going to say, didn't that creep you out a little bit? And then you told me $40,000 commission. I'm like, I could be.
Watch my kids do Disney.
Let's go to Disney with a GoPro, baby. Let's go.
We are doing this. I agree with that.
Thoughts there?
Sorry.
I said Orsini. Any other thoughts there?
No, I mean, that's exactly where I'm, my head goes with this. It's, the $40,000 commission is more than you're going to make on affiliate marketing and sponsorship and, YouTube or Anchor monetization. Right.
Yeah. It really comes down to like Chris was saying, it's authenticity and consistency, making sure you're regularly reaching out to your clients and making sure that you are true to you.
Yeah. We got 30 more minutes left, 20 more minutes more. You guys give up or are you thirsty for more?
I can go all day on this topic.
Yep.
All right. Let's keep riffing then.
Comment.
Orsini, tell me a little bit about the unanticipated benefits of becoming a podcaster. You mentioned something when we were kind of doing the pre-screening interview that I thought was pretty interesting with regards to listening to the playbacks and some unanticipated benefits of a realtor listening to themselves speak consistently.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So one of the most painful experiences of my life was editing my very first episode.
Yeah.
And hearing all the times I say and like and right, and I very quickly that's part of the reason it took me 8 hours to edit that episode, because I went through and cut out every freaking that I said in that episode. I had to I was so ashamed of myself. And going through that process and doing that week after week after week for years really honed in my public speaking and helped me get rid of the and and rights. I still struggle with them. Sure. I'm not perfect, but I became a much better speaker. And I then it helped me with just natural conversation with people. Yeah. When you're hosting a podcast, you're also the guide. Right? You're guiding this conversation in the direction you want it to go. We would have guests on the podcast and never really prep them with anything. Say, hey, this is the topic we want to talk on, and that's about it. Or, hey, you wrote this book. Let's talk about your book, and that's it. And so it was my job as the host to then guide the conversation in the direction we wanted to go. Now, as objection handlers and as lead generators and prospectors, we need to remain in the driver's seat and direct the conversation where we want it to go. And this was a skill that I just naturally acquired by doing this day in and day out.
Love it. Kuzi, any feedback there on skill sets or maybe things that you've learned from podcasting and doing the podcast and the YouTube that you can apply to real estate?
Oh man. Yeah. Well, he said it himself, is just working on, and I still I'm very bad with it. I probably did that in this in this lesson here.
I'm really trying to listen to myself say, right, yeah, myself.
Yeah, you do. You really listening back to yourself is a very interesting thing. And to take it a step further, watching yourself has actually made me a better dad. I know this sounds weird, but I'll watch myself interact with my kid. I'm like, I may have overreacted a little bit there, or you know what I mean? Like, so you kind of work on yourself as a person because you're looking at it from a different perspective.
Sure.
And when you're working at yourself as a person, that naturally translates into your career, how you talk to other people, how you interact. And I didn't realize how much I mumble my words and how you know, all of those things. And then I'm like, and I probably still doing it here because I get really excited on this topic, but I work on it constantly. I work on it. And that, I guess that can go back to anyone who has a fear of how they're perceived or sounding. Well, by all means, how are you going to fix it? What are you just going to hide in a corner your whole life? You know, this is how you get in and you fix it and make yourself better. And it's actually relatable in a way. Most people can be like, you know, I can relate to this person. They're not so perfect. And anyways, I know that was a very wordy answer to get to, you know, what you were asking, but there you have it.
Well, I like it. It's time on task over time.
Yeah.
Essentially, how do you become
100%?
You keep calling expireds in for sale by owners. You're going to become a great objection handler. Now, it may take you 6 months of getting cussed out occasionally. And yet for YouTube, right, I'm sure if we went back and watched the first podcast or listened to the first podcast and listened to what you're producing now.
Oh, yeah.
Difference, right? Brandon, what are you seeing as far as transferable skills from getting into YouTube that you're applying now to real estate?
Definitely when it came to YouTube, I constantly thought I had to be somebody else. I had to be this character on the camera. And my wife always told me that I was a character, but I didn't know that I was supposed to be that character. I constantly thought, oh no, this is how they do it. I've watched enough YouTube. I have to be just like X, Y, or Z. And then I realized that none of those people were my clients. Those were their clients. And when I started really being true to what I wanted and stopped asking people, hey, what do you think about me doing this? Because that question was as open as it could be. And what they actually thought, they were really just trying to give me an answer. So I asked myself, what do I want out of this? I drew a real outline for it. And I realized that I want to be me to everyone else. And that led to getting more subscribers. It also led to people reaching out saying, hey, can you help me with technology? And it became one of those where they could have went to the Geek Squad to get the help, but they went to me because they liked who I was.
Yeah,
and
they trusted you.
To myself. And that takes time to watch yourself back, as painful as it can be. I had to watch those replays to go, okay, why did I say this? It wasn't even necessarily the ums or the ahs, but why did I position it that way? Was there a reason for that? No, let me be more intentional with how I'm going to position that, but still be true to my words.
Yeah.
You used the word authentic when we were preparing for this, and I really appreciated that word. And I think the bottom line is a lot of times that I've asked you a question about making money. I think all three of you hit it on the head. There's ways to make money creating podcasts and creating YouTube videos. But in the real estate space, I think what all three of you really said well was the money comes from the production that's created through the relationships that you create, right? And so like if Brandon is being a character, my wife accuses me of being a character every now and then, but it's not always the best terminology. Right? if you're a character and then I meet you in real life and you're like, hi, I'm Brandon. And I'm like, no, I needed Brandon. I'm Brandon. Like you're not, if those don't line up, now I'm wondering what else doesn't line up because you're playing a real estate professional on TV. And yet if your character is not who you are, then what, are you not even a professional now? Do you just kind of fake all those, I know these things, but you're just reading a book and then reiterating it back on a camera, right? So I love the fact that all of you talked about being truly authentic of who you are. And I think that comes across both in audio, video, and every combination thereof.
Can I make 2 points on that?
Yeah, just two.
just two of it. Well, you know, I want to say, how freeing it is just being you. It's really nice. You don't have to like play a part to appease anyone else. Anyways, I can go on and on about that. You get the point. But the other point that I wanted to make about monetization is if you do this long enough on both these platforms, you will eventually just get to a monetization point. I don't think that should be your focus. Sure. But you know what's really cool about it? The first time ever, we have these prospecting or marketing tools. Because, all right, if you look at the MREA, it's about 30% goes back in your business. And then about 30% of that goes back in the marketing, right? So let's say 9% total-ish. So this is the first time in history that we are actually getting money back from our marketing prospecting, right? And you can now take all these pieces of content, like for Buzzsprout, you can do content clips, and you can do, you know, reels, and you do all these things that can now play into your social media stuff too. So you're getting paid now if you do it long enough. The truth is, if we're going to be real about it, the truth is it takes a special person to be consistent this long to get it there. But that's an opportunity for everyone who sees that dilemma and makes it an opportunity.
And I'll be transparent. When I started the 66, I intentionally chose a platform that did not incorporate my camera because I didn't want to be worried about what I look like. I just wanted the content to be out there.
Yeah.
So podcast is great for a face like me, right? Because then you can just hear my voice and you'll be okay. Or don't show the face at all. Start one day, right? And then kind of move forward from that point. And, you know, again, they're going to want to see more of you. They're going to want to connect with you. But if you do have that fear about, oh, I have to look perfect and sound perfect, I think all of us would agree our first attempts at all of these was most likely not very perfect. And yet it was, what was the Jen Toomer said it on the growth call. What was it? In action trumps perfect in action. I can't remember exactly how she said. You could probably boil it down to Nike's most famous slogan of just do it. Just get out there, right?
Yeah.
If you plan it all out, yes, there is some desire to plan. Every one of you talked about if you're going to create content, it can't just be, I have a great idea for one podcast and then expect to get any traction. It's kind of like throwing a pebble in the ocean and getting mad you didn't make any splash, right? But if you can do 66 in a row or 10 in a row, or heck, even if you have 4 in a row, you've got a month's worth of content on a weekly podcast schedule at that point, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think you mentioned the one thing that agents should be aware of is to make sure that this isn't a one-trick pony, that you've actually got a series. You know, Brandon, you talked about having a resource library of things that you can direct your clients back to. I love that. You know what I mean? Because even if you're not getting monetized, your client, you can tell your clients anytime they ask, hey, I need to know more about first-time home buying. Like, cool, I can sit here and tell you for 30 minutes, but I've also got a video you can go watch at any point, like 11:30 tonight when you're trying to fall asleep. Go watch my video, whatever it may be. Yeah. I thought that was really important. Of having
soft, soothing voice with dim lights.
Very intimate.
Absolutely.
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, I think Jason talked about being in bed with Matt. I guess now I've talked about being in bed with you. It's getting really awkward throughout the day. That was not something we intended to work in, and yet there you go. Closing thoughts, gentlemen, as we begin to wrap. What's the number one thing that you want action taken on? You know, our guests have spent 45 to 50 minutes with us together now. What's the one thing you want them to get out of this and actually put into action? Brandon, I'll start with you.
I want you to create a calendar. If you want to do YouTube, if you want to just be on social media and be on any channel, I want you to create a calendar with intention, put it on your daily calendar, block time for it so that you can regularly be making these posts, making these videos, making the audio. Otherwise, you're going to fall right off. And if you really want this and you're going to put time to invest into it, don't be frozen in fear. Create that calendar and get started.
I like it. Kuzi, coming to you.
Sure. Well, podcast and Instagram are going to, not Instagram, what am I saying? Podcasting and YouTube are going to have it's going to have the least amount or the hardest to obtain followers, but it's going to have the most adoring followers. You have to think about the intimacy. I used that word a second ago, but let's use it for real now. The intimacy of someone plugging you in their ears for an hour at a time and listening to your voice or watching you and your family grow up. They're connecting with you on a deep level. And I think how I best want to end this is how I began even getting into this journey. I want to give credit to the source of this story. It's in one of my books, but it was about Arsenio Hall when he was on The Apprentice. For everyone under 35 years old, Arsenio Hall was the, I don't know, the Jimmy Fallon of the day. He had the best talk show on Fox, I think it was. Anyways, he was on that's it. He was on The Apprentice. And after the show was well gone, and he was well canceled, and he goes, and he was against Clay Aiken, and they had to rally up charity money from celebrities, and he kept making calls, and no one was picking up. And in a conversation that really like hit me, they go, well, why why is no one picking up? And he goes, you know something? And this is not verbatim. You'll get, I'm paraphrasing here. So don't be like, you didn't say that. But he goes, you know what? When I had my show, when I had a platform, I wouldn't even have to call. People called me all day long. And if I did call, they answered on the first ring. And now that I don't have a show and I'm relevant and not less top of mind, I can't get anyone to answer their phone. In other words, if you have no platform, you have no followers, you have no intimate followers, well, you have less business. So I hope that motivated me to leverage the platforms that exist for essentially free to grow my business. And it made me 40 grand this month.
Not bad.
Not
bad.
It didn't suck.
I put my pinky up.
Yeah, there you go. What's the one thing they need to be doing, right? If they want to take action, YouTube, podcasting, what's the one thing you want to leave them with?
Get over 200 contacts in command and have them on a 36 touch and touch them regularly. Then you've earned the right to get into these things. So do what Brandon said, get a calendar, be prepared. I think going into this, start thinking how 1 + 1 can equal more than 2, right? How can this be more than just me talking into a mic or talking into a camera and having people watch or listen, right? So building those business to business relationships, right? With Leverage Strong, I'm doing a video podcast where I'm just interviewing other real estate tech companies. Why? Because when a guest is on my podcast, they bring their listeners. They share my episodes with them, right? So I've had ones that were when I had only like less than 100 followers on my Facebook page, the video got over 400 views, right? How did that happen? Well, they shared it out. Think bigger than just what you're doing today. Build a legacy out of this, right? Plan ahead. Have things be consistent. So as Brandon said, one thing that I noticed a lot when I was hosting my own podcast and coaching other podcasts is if it was a weekly podcast and you miss a week, then it took on average with the podcast that I coached a month to catch up to the listenership that they were before they skipped that week. Right. So if you can't do it, just put up a little video or 2-minute, 1-minute podcast episode saying, hey, I'm sick this week. Can't do it. Sorry, guys. Can't wait to see you next week.
I'd literally listen to you hack along for a minute just to prove that you were sick. Like, it's Chris. We'll be back next week, right? Like, at least that's reality, like that's you being authentic. I'm not faking this. Listen to how rough my voice sounds, which I feel like mine sounds pretty rough right now. I have double ear infections right now. It's been amazing. But yeah, I love it. Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for sharing your time today. I know you're all subject matter experts and I'm blessed to be surrounded by subject matter experts like you getting into the podcast and YouTubing space. Michelle T, thank you for getting the correct quote from Jen Toomer. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction all day long and twice on Sundays. If you're thinking about it, do a little bit of planning. Invest in maybe a little bit of tech. You got to maybe go buy a little mic, but remember, you only need that. You got AirPods? Cool. You got a phone. You can record the video. You can record the audio. We've given you a couple of apps. I will say our resource is not quite available. I take complete ownership of that, but we will have a resource available for you guys within the next couple of days. You can come back and download that one pager. We'll get that out. Stay tuned, guys. We're at the halfway mark. We're 2 amazing more series of breakouts coming your way. We've got systems and leverage happening. We've got follow-up systems and gifts actually happening in this exact channel. 2 of my favorites, Labs advisors, Abbie, Lacey, Kimber, Walton, going to be hosting that with the amazing Brady Sandahl, Stacey, Sauls, and Trent and Karissa Zimmer. And then we've also got, for all you leaders out there, our 2 recruiting techniques happening during this next breakout. Finally, we're going to end with 3 additional breakouts in the 1:30 Central Standard Time session. That's branding, client and holiday events, and then Market Center Team Ridge. Don't forget, come back for our final wrap-up. Guys, someone's going to win a ticket to family reunion. We've got some gift cards to give out. There was a script battle to announce an award. We're going to have some fun at the end. So come back for that. Stick around. Gentlemen, thank you once again for sharing your time, treasure, and talent. It's been amazing. Hey, we're all in real estate, so one quick plug for your local area. Send you referrals where? Chris, where am I sending you referrals to?
Which one?
Kuzi, sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking at you like you can't see me looking in your eyes.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at him like, is he going to talk?
Right here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
My camera. Right here. There you go. Right. You can tell I have two monitors. And I'm looking at one. All right, Kuzi, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I'm in Boca, Parkland, Delray, Coral Springs area of Southeast Florida. You can go to hicusi.com, and he has all the links. So if you want to be on the podcast or watch one of my YouTube stuff or just shoot the crap with me, by all means, there's where you find me.
Orsini, how do I find you and where do I send you referrals?
Yeah, so I serve all. So I'm not licensed, so I don't sell. But Leverage Strong, we serve any market center in the country. We're currently just in the United States. We have not gone international yet. You can contact us at leveragestrong.com or find us on Facebook, our page Leverage Strong, or you can just shoot me an email if you want to find out more, just at helpmechris@kw.com.
I love it. Brandon.
You guys can all like, subscribe, follow, give me your thumbs by going to OSnapTips. That's OSnapTips.com.
I think you have to say it 3 times for them to remember, isn't it?
I have to say OSnapTips.com again.
One more time.
People must be thirsty for more.
They must be thirsty for more. Fantastic. And those of you that are watching, Tim Beverland and I will be leading a Tech 3060-90 with the MAPS program starting January 9th. If you want more information about that, feel free to check us out at tech306090.com. Abbie Lacey is knocking on the door, guys. She's in the studio. She's telling us to get the heck off the screen so she can bring in her amazing crew. Stay tuned for follow-up systems and gifts throughout happening right here, right now. And we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of Tech the Halls. Have a fantastic end of year.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.